Yes!
What is up, and welcome back to Congruent Academy, the place for people in process. If you're new here, I'm Cal, and I'm getting my act together one video at a time. Today I'm going to be talking about my process of building a healthier self-image. Guys, we all know what it feels like to have low self-esteem from time to time. I found a website that said literally 85% of people on Earth struggle with this. But listen, I think the basis of building back to a healthy level of self-esteem can really ultimately be done through action and reflection. And so I'd like to remind you, as I wish I had reminded myself when I first started going on YouTube to find advice, that watching this video is not enough. Taking action and at times getting professional help is critical. There are a lot of channels out there that I used to watch all the time with great tips, but without actually implementing the tips and getting feedback in my own life, it ended up being a total waste of my time. And that's all I can say. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life because I don't know your specific situation, but these are some things that are helping me in mine. I hope you enjoy. Tip number 1, watch the way you talk to and about yourself. Confucius once wrote, "The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't are both right." Personal belief is what's going to get you out of bed and doing those things that you know you ought to do. And that is why it is so important to become mindful of the ways that you talk to and about yourself. The process of developing that mindfulness around those thoughts, to be totally honest, isn't always going to be comfortable. And so I would like to remind you out there that there are mental health resources that you can work with in that process of unpacking how you think about yourself, and maybe even as you start to unpack the whys. I personally am not one of those professionals, but I've linked some resources that can point you in the right direction. And again, guys, this or any video on YouTube is no substitute for medical advice. I'm just sharing what I've been doing as part of my process of getting my act together, one video at a time. It's a long but ultimately worthwhile process in my view, because again, how we view ourselves will impact the actions we do and do not take. For me, when I first became aware of my self-talk, I was honestly shocked. But then it became increasingly clear why I felt the things that I felt and was where I was. So working on having a healthier self-talk is going to be an ongoing process. It is for me. And remember, be kind to yourself. Being honest with yourself is brave, but it is so worthwhile. You have to get right with yourself first. And that leads me to the second tip that's helping me to develop a healthier self-image. 2. Develop meaningful habits and rituals. This is so critical to do because there is an intrinsic connection between who we are and what we do. And I want to be totally clear, even if just to remind myself, that this is different from saying there is an intrinsic connection between who we are and what we say we will do. So it's useful to take a minute and visualize who and how you are when you're at your best and healthiest. From there, if you can, start to carve out some of the habits that you would have to achieve that state, or to have the best chance to. Full disclosure, change is a gradual and constant process, and so just know that it won't all happen overnight. I'm still very much engaged in this process of forming and establishing these rituals. One meaningful habit that I've been able to really lock in with more consistency, which I would recommend to anyone who wants to have a healthier self-image, is exercise. I have found that being able to gradually observe my strength increase is a wonderful vehicle to recognizing that I am capable of developing in any other area of my life by applying the same principles of consistent action and incremental progress. Plus, it's a great way to work through some of the negative or stressful thoughts that might come up when you're building a healthier self-image. Meaningful habits and rituals are so important to developing a healthier self-image because in time, you'll find the things that you do every day become a big part of your self-image. It's like one of the main ways that your sense of self gets conditioned. Number 3, stop putting everyone on a pedestal. I say this all the time because it is true. Comparison is the thief of joy. This tip might sound confusing. After all, I do think it's important to have people to look up to who inspire you. I have many people that are either directly in my life or who I have encountered online or in books that I certainly look up to. But I think that one of the traps that a lot of us fall into in this internet age is that of vicariously living through the lives of someone else's curated feed rather than fully living our own. So if you find yourself looking at social media and coming away feeling bad about yourself and your life, maybe it's time to take a step back and reassess how you're using it and how it's shaping the way you see yourself. Also, if you're constantly obsessing over how much better someone else's life is than yours, where does that actually leave you? That's an open question to consider. I feel that having a healthy balance for me is to have people that I look up to and am inspired by, but without losing sight of the fact that nobody is perfect. Everybody has flaws, and everyone makes mistakes, no matter where they are in life. So, be inspired, but don't waste your time trying to pick apart why someone else is successful when you're not. You could be using that energy to invest in yourself. Number 4, surround yourself with positive people. Another major way that our sense of self gets conditioned is by who we surround ourselves with. So if you're around people that are constantly bringing you down, how do you think you're going to feel about yourself compared to if you're around people that are working on themselves and giving you the space to do the same? The people that you surround yourself with inform many ways of how you see the world and what you feel is possible, because these are the people that you are going to be experiencing life alongside. And so naturally, who these people are and what they're up to is going to matter. As I have been developing a healthier self-image and making changes in my life, I have been observing that so much of the self-talk I had internalized was not even my original thoughts or perspectives, but ones that I had heard countless times from people in my circle. And ultimately, I'm not telling you that you need to drop your friends in order to have a healthier self-image. Though I will say, if you come away from spending time with someone and you find yourself feeling bad about yourself, that might be a sign to look out for. Also, pro tip, if you're still working on building out your social circle, believe it or not, you can still surround yourself with positive people, even if they aren't directly in your life. You can read about positive forces in the world online. I'm not saying that's a viable long-term substitute for actual relationships in your life, but it works for me when I don't have many people around. Number 5, take charge in your life. If this tip is the only one that you have taken away from this video, that's more than enough. Because ultimately, I have found that building a healthy self-image has only started to become possible when I stopped living a life so full of inaction and instead started working on taking care of my responsibilities and working towards my goals. But when we're feeling low, for whatever reason it may be, it can be very alluring to get stuck into a victim mentality. And I'm not saying that people can't find themselves in situations or experiences that they completely did not deserve, but I am saying that a victim mentality can so often lead to feeling disempowered. And that can lead to feeling incredibly resentful and bitter about the world and about yourself. And what you feel you're actually capable of doing can be hampered with that mindset. Taking charge in your life is easier said than done in my experience. But if you develop your goals, your values, your boundaries, your needs, and then start working towards those gradually, you'll find in time you become a more self-actualized version of yourself, and as a result, your self-image will be healthier. In sum, I've been forming a healthier self-image by being mindful about how I think about myself, who I am surrounding myself with, and intentional actions that are bringing me closer to a fulfilled and self-actualized state. It is okay if you're not doing these things right now, because these are things you can work on. Don't be hard on yourself. Remember to celebrate the smaller victories. And remember, this is Congruent Academy, the place for people in process. I'm broadcasting to you from the room for improvement because I'm a work in progress just like you. I'm not perfect, I'm working on these things as well. But we got this, guys. And that does it for this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, power to the people in process.